Hi, I'm Randall Allen Dunn. I'm an indie author, and I wanted to just put out a message in response to a horrible tragedy that happened in the indie author community over the weekend, and hopefully clarify a couple of things for people who might be confused. I'm not going to say names of the people that were involved because I don't want to put any more attention on the victim who is having to deal with all of this, and they don't really want any more attention right now, I know. But a cover designer who was working apparently for an indie author doing some work received 80 messages online that were hate messages, apparently because of a cover she designed that the person didn't like, and these were all messages that were bullying and abusive and threatening in the sense that they were saying that she did a terrible job and should be ashamed of her work and she should kill herself and the world would be better without her. And these messages came from like 80 different people, supposedly, or at least there were 80 messages, some of them coming from moms and grandmas telling her that she should kill herself. The designer did attempt to commit suicide. She has survived, but she is not wanting to communicate further at this time, as far as I'm aware. So I just want to first of all say that obviously that should never have happened. Um, Indie authors are businesses; they're not bullies. And this thing that happened, I believe, as one indie author suggested, it's not 80 different people actually responding and thinking that, including moms and grandmas telling a person that their work was so bad that they should kill themselves. I believe that this was an online troll who was involved in whatever was going on, and they just made it somehow look like they were sending messages from different people when it was really probably just one person or a small group of people. It would be very unlikely to get 80 different people, especially family members, to be so vicious as to suggest like something like that to anyone based on work that they did. For people who are outside of the indie author community, I just want to clarify some things. As I said, indie authors are businesses. An indie author it's short for independent author, and it just means somebody who has decided to start a business for themselves where they are um, publishing their own work, or they're using services that publish work for them, typically like CreateSpace or Draft to Digital or Smashwords or different things. And they're choosing to do that as a way to make money, as opposed to what is called now traditional publishing, where you would send off your work to a publisher and they publish work for you and they do some marketing for you and assist you. Unless you're a big name author like John Grisham or Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, you're probably not going to make a lot of money doing that. You have to have a very, very big name. So there's really a handful of people who can actually make a living with traditional publishing, unless you just get in that small crowd of people who have good connections. You could have movie deals or TV deals, something that allows you to really rise to the top and make a good living. For thousands of other authors out there who have talent and have great things to share, they're not going to make a lot of money doing that. But through technology now, it's possible for these indie authors to publish their own work without the publishing company, which means they get more royalty money from it. They have control over what they're producing, and they just have more freedom to do things the way they would like to do them and serve the readers that are interested in their kind of work, which means that those indie authors are businesses. They are an entire publishing company. So they have to get a cover together. They have to do advertising, marketing, everything that a publisher would do. an indie author is trying to do through partners and resources and doing some things on their own. Within the indie author community, I have seen something that has concerned me. Sometimes when someone does something that is very wrong or rude or offensive, there are some indie authors who try to motivate other people to not get involved with them, not work with them anymore, unfriend them on Facebook, things like that. And in the wake of this horrible incident, someone had a gut reaction and was saying, they wanted to know who was involved, who sent all those horrible messages. We're indie authors. We are businesses. We're business professionals who are trying to make a living doing our own small business. We're not police investigators or government investigators, and we're certainly not a gang. And we need to not act like that, because in the end, if we're encouraging people, in other indie authors, other business professionals, who they should like or not like, we're kind of being bullies ourselves, and that's not who we are. Some people do business that way. They want to be political and say who's in and who's out. But most indie authors want to just support each other and be positive and help each other, because there is plenty of room for all indie authors to find their audience and serve people who want to read what they're producing. So that's what typically happens and what should happen. And what happened over the weekend is just really shocking and disturbing. That's not a representation of what an indie author does or ever should do, any more than somebody who is a banker and embezzles billions of dollars for themselves personally represents the banking industry. So to everybody who's aware of this horrible tragedy or is just learning about it now, as I said, this never should have happened, and it's horrible, and I hope it never happens again. But for those of us who are indie authors and who work with indie authors, it's not our job to do any kind of witch hunt to find out who did this horrible thing. What they did, I believe, is a criminal act, and hopefully that will get dealt with at some point in some way. But it's not our job as indie authors to root out who did it and mete out some kind of punishment to them as if we're judge, jury, and executioner. We're businesses, and we are trying to serve the community in the best way that we can, producing work that we know people are looking for. So that's what we're trying to do. For anybody in the family or friends of this designer who was attacked like this, I just want to tell you I'm so sorry that happened. And that is not what indie authorship is about. It's not what business should ever be about. And it would be nice if that wasn't what things were like online. So I'm very sorry that happened. And for all my fellow indie authors, let's do the best that we can to stay positive and supportive and serve the readers who are looking for our material. Thank you.